Now, it's a sight familiar to vicars up and down the country. I suppose they're working over Christmas, aren't they?
They're always working over Christmas, yeah?
They're standing room only for tonight and tomorrow's Christmas services, then empty pews as soon as the decorations come down.
It can be the case. According to the Church of England statistics, church attendance more than triples at Christmas. So some now believe that the church should be making the most of this and take a voluntary collection that when the plate goes round on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, shouldn't actually be voluntary. It should be a once a year, for the once a year brigade, they should actually pay to go to church. So if you just show up at Christmas, maybe Easter as well, then you should actually pay to pray. Well, it's a controversial one. And joining us now is Reverend Joanna Jepson, who believes church is about hospitality and everyone should feel welcome, no charging for her. And also Jemma Forte, who only attends church on Christmas Day. You admit it. And you actually think you'd feel less guilty if you paid.
It's not so much guilty. I just think we're all accustomed now to paying for services, and it is a church service, and I know that a lot goes into that, and so therefore perhaps you should give back. It's a bit like, you know, the hospitality of the church is there all year round. On a Tuesday in February, you can wander in and have some quieter time if you want, and that's always there for you. But for people like me, who perhaps aren't practicing and then end up just using it as sort of somewhere to go for the event and to remind yourself what it's all about.
So it's a social event.
I think...
And a bit of festivity for you rather than a religious thing.
Well, I suppose it's Christmas Day. We're all going to sit down and eat this massive lunch and do the presents. You need to remember what it's all about. And I think there's probably quite a few people like me in that instance. And, you know, you do have a donation plate. I think to make it a formality is absolutely fine. If you were opening up your house to people, most people bring a bottle of wine or some flowers or something. It's sort of reciprocal.
But would you insist on it? That's the difference. I mean, you're not happy about this and you'd be the one that will be making the money.
Well, you know, the heart of the Christmas story is about the God who wanted to remove all the obstacles from us knowing that we're loved, children of God, and knowing who we are in that love. And, you know, this is the God who says, right, I'm going to remove the distance, the otherness. I'm going to come and be one of you people and be with you. He didn't think I'm going to be born in a royal palace. I'm going to be a really wealthy, powerful leader and, you know, have that kind of red carpet, intimidating, remove distance. This is a baby. This is God saying, I want to gather everybody around to know me. And a baby does that. And I think, you know, everybody in that nativity story has an obstacle they need to overcome. It may not be guilt, but Mary has to overcome her fear of social disgrace, as does Joseph. The wise men have to overcome Herod's threat and his manipulation. The shepherds have to overcome their fear. We all have our hang-ups. But this is the story where God says, I'm going to remove the obstacles. Now, what are your obstacles you need to remove?
I think it should be like means tested, I suppose. If you are living off food banks, I don't think you should have to pay to go to church. But I'm sure there's a way. If you know the regulars are coming and they've helped with the flowers and they've been putting in all year, you're not going to charge those people.
You are so welcome to come and make a donation.
But I also think the church does so much good work. They have so many social action projects, so you give to the community all the time. Perhaps, you know, I know that if I was charged a £5 to go to the Christmas service, that's going to go either to fix the leaky roof or back into the community. And we need that at the moment.
Yeah, it would.
So, Reverend, a VIP area is out of the question, is it?
Absolutely. This is not the spirit of it, you know. And I think, actually, Christmas is probably the most important festival and story to gather people into the heart of what faith is really about. And if you came on that day and heard that story, then maybe you might think, there's something in this that I want to follow up and live by the rest of the year.
And then bring people in the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Does it annoy you, Reverend Joanna, that you have a huge, bustling church on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then it limps off? There must be a bit of you that feels disappointed.
Well, I'm an army chaplain, so I have a packed church every Sunday with young people. I mean, I'm one of the kind of rare vicars who looks out onto a full flock of youngsters on a Sunday. But, you know, I'm based at Wells Cathedral. We're going to have a packed packed church this afternoon with our crib services. Midnight Mass will be the same tomorrow.
In a way, it's an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, it
for
absolutely.
religious
absolutely.
leaders of all faith. When a festival like this is happening, you bring people in that are coming perhaps for the ritual or the tradition, like you are, Jemma, and then inspire them and maybe give them something spiritual that they can take forward into the next year.
The last time I went to a church was with my little baby nephew and my sister, and it was ticketed, and they had a classical baby concert. There were just lots of exhausted mothers sitting around, just happy for somewhere to go, quite frankly, meeting each other, you know, and that's a good thing. And I think with so many community services cut, putting a bit back in and knowing that you're going to put that into food banks or whatever else it is that the church is doing.
You can donate in the collection, though,
You can, but you know what? Some people do loads, some people do a few pennies.
Maybe that's what
back in the Old Testament, you were supposed to give 10% of your income.
The practicalities for churches and for other places of worship is quite real, isn't it, though? And in the end, you know,
£4,000 a day
you can
to keep our cathedral open.
And you can see the benefit. I mean, you know, as a Muslim, when I go to the mosque, I was at the mosque recently, and they're quite direct at the mosque sometimes. I mean, in fact, the last time I was there, on Friday prayers, at the end of the prayer, we all do a communal prayer, and the imam literally prayed in the prayer for a new extension that the mosque needed.
Brilliant. Tell them what you
and we all prayed, and we went, please God, give us this new extension. And as soon as the prayer was over, they came round with buckets.
That is funny.
And we laughed, we did laugh, but the practical thing is he had a few thousand people there, and he thought, well, actually, I need
You're praying for some
money.
bifold doors.
And when it comes to Christmas or Eid or Diwali or Vaisakhi for the Sikh religion, you know, and the Jewish religion as well, when you've got these big festive events, it's time to cash in a little bit, isn't it?
Well, I think, you know, certainly for people of faith, our money and our relationship with money, like money isn't spiritual or unspiritual, it's just there, but our relationship with it is a kind of a good litmus test of how we are in terms of our faith in God, and being able to be generous, to give generously, is about spiritual freedom.
Genuinely, in the Old Testament, I know it's,
tithing.
We're going back. Yeah, the tithing. It's 10% of people's income, and obviously society has changed dramatically. We're much more secular than we used to be. But again, I just don't think people would resent giving a little bit back at that special time of year when they're going to a service.
Well, you will be so welcome to give, but most of all, you will be so welcome to come and hear the story.
Yeah, and I think we do understand
I think
that.
you should charge her now.
Charge me more.
You're going to go there. It seems like a bargain, don't you?
Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And if you'd like to donate to Birmingham Central Mosque this Christmas, you can find them.
I'm sure they've got their own website, haven't they?
They have. It's quite a good website, honestly.